Hey, it's me, Germany, and this is a video where I'm drawing my history. 'Tis 1800, and I am a subject of the Holy Roman Empire. This was during the Napoleonic Wars. Soon after, Napoleon defeated our empire in a war and broke up the empire. Then we were a series of nations that all spoke German. Prussia was defeated in 1806 by France and began to modernize after this and went on to war again with Napoleon and won, playing a role in his defeat in 1815. In 1815, German Confederation was created with a Diet, the legislative body of certain countries, to vote on stuff. My states began to become closer.
My nation states began to industrialize on a minor scale after the 1831 Zollverein, which is some sort of act or bill that passed that stimulated economic prosperity by allowing the management of tariffs and economic policies within their territories, leading to the forming of a common market, a system of free trade and movement of capital. By the 1840s, some 1,400 factories existed in my cities, much of which were connected by railroads, an important psychological and economic unification of my states. In the 1860s, nationalistic ideologies of my people began to shift in favor of imperialism, when nationalism previously was in favor of an economically, politically, and militaristically powerful centralized state. As a result of the economic and political success of France and Britain, the two most formidable world powers, and my people's main concern of statehood.
In 1866, Austria declared war on Prussia. Prussia won the so-called 7 Weeks' War and gained allies from other smaller states of mine. In 1870, Napoleon III declared war on Prussia, and again they won, when in 1871, Prussian troops captured Paris. They took some of my land back from the French, and the King of Prussia was declared the King of Germany. I was unified again. Almost every German-speaking nation was now under one nation, except for Austria.
Industrialization. In 1835, the first railroad was finished in the towns of Nuremberg and Fürth, the first railroads I had. By 1880, I had 9,400 trains, more than France. My railroad industry grew so quickly because of the need for industrialization. Another example of this was the abundance of coal in the Ruhr Valley, the biggest producer in Europe. Otto von Bismarck, the greatest statesman I ever produced, did not desire to imperialize, but he was forced to do so to appease the people. As a result, my colonies were never particularly impressive. In the scramble for Africa, I imperialized but a few places without much development, used merely for the population overflow rather than for profitable resources or to spread my people's culture.
The people under our imperialist rule were not pleased, to say the least. The Africans detested my imperialism, but they had not the military, political, or economic power or social standing to have any say in the matter or put up a proper resistance. Nonetheless, many African peoples fruitlessly tried to withstand my settlers who had imperialized their lands which they relied upon to survive, forcing them to either starve, abandon their homes, or revolt against impossible odds, and the circumstances for the indigenous people were so awful that many were indeed willing to revolt.
By World War I was one of the world's greatest powers. My industry was second only to the United States. My military was unparalleled unless, that is, I make a stupid decision like attacking Russia, France, and Britain at the same time. Which I did.
Recap. I imperialized because they wanted to prove their power, but I started much later than Britain because of the power struggle between Austria and Prussia, which caused some economic unsteadiness. But when we did industrialize, there was a lot of job growth, which led to more money because of the railroads that made trading south much easier and because much more steel and coal was being produced. During the same period, I began a period of imperialization because of the success of the two great imperializers, Britain and France. They were massively successful, and my people saw this and wanted to do as they did. So I joined in the scramble for Africa, but this wasn't entirely positive. Many nations were jealous of each other's colonies, and this was one of the causes of the First World War. It wasn't all that bad either. According to some, without imperialization by Europe, Africa wouldn't have known how to govern themselves as we do. My people didn't treat their subjects all too kindly. For other powers, They made treaties, but for the people living in what was now their land, they would kill freely, happy to displace people just because it fit their needs. The ease of which my people did this made them believe that they were the superior race because they had the ability to take what they wanted from people. And the goals of paralyzing were driven by nationalism, the want for your nation to be the best at the cost of others, and this affected people, as previously mentioned, who were colonized by Germany. But it is also brought that many states that spoke German and were a part of German culture together to form Germany. But on the other hand, nationalism from more nations than myself was one of the causes of World War I. I was broken up at the start of the 1800s but brought back together by the 1870s because of nationalism, and after that I started grabbing for Africa and industrializing despite coming a little late to the game.
Recording.
Thanks for watching the history.
Of Germany.
Like,
I
favorite,
forgot
and
what I was
subscribe.
saying.
Bye!